Okay, picture this. You've got the elegance, the sophisticated music of Vienna, and then almost right alongside, the sheer scale and, well, majesty of the Austrian Alps. Snow-capped peaks right in Central Europe. It's quite a mix.
It really is. And that contrast isn't just, scenic. It's deeply rooted in Austria's geography, its history. It all weaves together to give it this unique character.
Exactly. So to really get a feel for it, we're doing a deep dive into a pretty comprehensive travel guide today. Think of it like a crash course in all things Austria.
Yeah, this guide, it lays out the key places to see, the cultural experiences, even the practical stuff you need to know.
Our mission, really, is to pull out the most interesting, the most useful bits for you, whether you're maybe thinking about a trip or just curious about this fascinating European country.
Sound good.
Okay, so let's dive in. Top destinations first. Vienna seems like the obvious place to start. The city of music.
Absolutely. And the guide, it immediately highlights Vienna's, its imperial grandeur. You've got Schönbrunn Palace, it's a UNESCO site, the old summer residence.
Huge, isn't it? The palace, the gardens, even a zoo.
Right. It was all about projecting Habsburg power, influencing Europe. The scale was intentional, the gardens, the zoo. It showed the breadth of their interest, their reach.
And then there's the Hofburg Palace. That was the real seat of power for the emperors, wasn't it?
For centuries, yeah. Now it's packed with museums, offering this incredible window into Austrian history, and of course, the Spanish Riding School.
The Lipizziner stallions. Such a unique living tradition.
It really is. And you can't talk Vienna without mentioning St. Stephen's Cathedral. That massive Gothic structure. It just dominates the skyline.
More than just architecture, right? It's a symbol, seen centuries of history unfold.
Precisely. And that intricate Gothic engineering inside. The high ceilings, the light from the stained glass. It really creates a feeling, a sense of the divine. It stood through so much.
And for music lovers, the guide points straight to the Vienna State Opera.
Naturally. It's presented as like a global center for opera. World-class stuff.
And I like that the guide mentions the Ringstrasse, that big circular road.
Oh yeah, the Ring Boulevard.
Building that was a huge statement back in the 19th century, wasn't it? Ripping down old walls, putting up these grand buildings, showing off Vienna's wealth and modernity.
Exactly. Like Haussmann in Paris, but the Viennese version. It was a symbol of progress. And for art lovers, there's the Kunsthistorisches Museum.
Right, the Art History Museum. Huge collection.
Absolutely essential. Spans, millennia of art history.
Okay, let's shift gears. Head west to Salzburg, Mozart's birthplace. You can almost hear the music in the air there, can't you?
Definitely a different vibe from Vienna. Maybe more intimate, certainly charming. The guide makes a big deal of Hohensalzburg Fortress.
That medieval castle way up high.
Yeah, perched right over the city. Imagine the strategic importance back then. And the views today, panoramic.
And Mirabell Palace and Gardens. That Baroque beauty. The guide mentions the Sound of Music connection.
It does. It's funny how that movie has become such a global touchstone for Austria, isn't it? Shapes how people see it.
For better or worse, yeah. It definitely brings people in.
It introduces the beauty, for sure. And obviously, you have to see Mozart's birthplace. It gives you that tangible connection to him, his early life.
Makes sense. The guide also raves about Salzburg's old town, the Altstadt. UNESCO site, too.
Right. That UNESCO designation means it's recognized as having outstanding universal value. It signifies its importance. Those narrow streets, the Baroque buildings, it feels like stepping back in time.
You can tell they really value preserving that history.
Oh, absolutely. Austria has a deep respect for its heritage.
Okay, now for something completely different. The Austrian Alps. Outdoor paradise territory. Innsbruck gets a shout out.
Yeah, Innsbruck is interesting. It combines serious skiing with like a proper city feel.
Yeah.
And that has the Golden Roof, that famous landmark.
It's a great example of how Austria blends city life with amazing nature access, isn't it?
Totally. And Tyrol, the whole region, is flagged as top tier for skiing. Loads of resorts.
But the Alps aren't just about skiing, right? Hohe Tauern National Park sounds enormous.
It's huge. Austria's largest national park.
Yeah.
Glaciers, alpine meadows, wildlife. It really shows their commitment to conservation.
It highlights the sheer diversity, doesn't it? Vienna's sophistication to this raw, natural beauty.
Exactly. Caters to so many different interests.
Yeah.
And the guide mentions the Eagles Walk Trail in Tyrol for hikers.
Yeah.
Those high alpine views must be just incredible, unforgettable.
Sounds intense. Okay, next stop, Hallstatt. The guide paints it as a fairy tale village.
It really does. That lakeside setting, mountains rising straight up, it's incredibly picturesque. often called one of Europe's prettiest villages.
And there's something unusual there, the bone house.
Yes, the Bean House. It's quite unique, a collection of painted skulls. It came about because burial space was so limited.
Wow, okay, that's memorable. A fascinating, if maybe slightly eerie, glimpse into local history.
Definitely adds another layer to the place. And there's the salt mine tour, too.
Going back 7,000 years.
Yeah, 7,000 years of salt mining history. It puts the village in perspective, Salt was like gold back then, hugely important economically, shaped the whole region.
Incredible history embedded right there. Okay, lastly for destinations, the Washoe Valley, along the Danube.
Scenic delight, the guide calls it. And Melk Abbey gets top billing.
That Baroque abbey perched above the river looks magnificent in pictures.
It really is stunning. A prime example of Baroque architecture showing the power of the monasteries. And its location right on the Danube highlights the river's importance for trade and travel through history.
And then there's Dürnstein, charming village, but with castle ruins.
Right, where King Richard the Lionheart was supposedly imprisoned. Adds a bit of medieval legend to the beautiful scenery.
A boat trip sounds like the way to go.
Definitely. The guide highly recommends it. Cruising along, seeing the vineyards, the little villages, it's the classic Washoe experience.
And wine tasting, especially Gruner Veltliner.
Ah, yes, the local specialty. A perfect way to soak it all in, the flavors, the landscape.
Okay, so the destinations are clearly amazing. But what about the cultural side? The things that really make Austria Austrian?
Well, music and the arts are absolutely central. The guide really stresses this. Think Vienna Philharmonic.
Performing at the State Opera or the Music Verein?
Exactly. These aren't just orchestras, they're like global institutions, storied histories.
And the festivals sound lively too. Salzburg Festival for Music and Drama, Vienna Film Festival.
Seems like there's always something happening, catering to all sorts of artistic tastes. Austria's history of supporting the arts really shines through. It's a living culture, not just museum pieces.
And we have to talk about the food. Wiener Schnitzel.
The classic. That breaded veal cutlet, potatoes, the lingonberry jam. Quintessential Austrian comfort food.
Sounds delicious. And Sachertorte.
Oh, Sachertorte, yes. That rich chocolate cake, the apricot jam layer, dark chocolate glaze, usually with Viennese coffee, it's iconic.
Irresistible. And Apfelstrudel too. Warm apple pastry.
With powdered sugar. Perfect afternoon treat. Food is definitely a huge part of the experience.
Clearly. And the guide also touches on architecture again, beyond just the palaces. Baroque and Gothic obviously stand out, like St. Stephen's and Mirabell.
Yes, those grand historical styles are everywhere. But it also mentions the Hundertwasser house in Vienna.
Ah, right. That really colorful, unconventional apartment building.
Exactly. It's a great contrast, showing a more modern, whimsical side to Austrian design. It proves the country embraces, artistic innovation too.
Good point. Okay, so shifting to practicalities. If someone is planning a trip, what does the guide say about the best time to go?
Well, it kind of depends what you're after. Winter's obviously great for skiing in the Alps.
Right.
Summer is prime time for cities and hiking. But spring and autumn, they can be really nice. Milder weather, fewer crowds. Bit of a sweet spot.
Good tip. And getting around. Sounds pretty easy with public transport.
Yeah, the train system, the ÖBB, is very efficient. Trams, buses in cities, it's generally excellent.
But maybe a car for the countryside.
The guide does suggest that, yeah. Especially for the Alps or smaller villages, a car gives you more freedom, more flexibility to explore off the main routes.
Makes sense. Language-wise, German is official, but English.
Widely spoken, especially in tourist areas. The guide reassures you that communication usually isn't a problem for English speakers.
That's helpful. Currency is the euro, of course. Credit card's okay.
Generally, yes. Widely accepted. But, it's always smart to have some cash on hand. Smaller shops, markets, maybe rural spots. Cash is still useful.
Standard advice, really. And finally, safety.
Austria comes across as very safe in the guide. Generally considered a safe country for travelers.
That's always good to hear. Peace of mind.
Definitely. Though, as always, the guide recommends the usual precautions. Be aware of your surroundings, especially in busy tourist spots. Just common sense, really.
Right. So wrapping this up, our deep dive into this guide really paints a picture of a country with, incredible variety.
Absolutely. You've got the imperial history and music in Vienna, the charm of Salzburg, the stunning Alps, those picturesque villages like Hallstatt, the beautiful Washoe Valley.
It covers a lot of ground, and it's not just the places, is it? It's the culture, the music, the art, the food. It all weaves together.
Create a really rich tapestry for visitors, or even just for someone wanting to understand the country better.
So, with all that, This blend of history, culture, stunning nature. What part of Austria really grabs your attention the most? Imagine yourself there maybe in a Viennese concert hall or hiking high up in Tyrol. Which picture sparks your curiosity?